Samson's anger did not end with the wedding feast. It followed him home. Empowered by the Spirit of the Lord, Samson struck down 30 Philistine men to pay the wedding debt. Then he left Timnah in burning anger. While he was gone, his bride was given to another man. Time passed. Hoping to restore the relationship, Samson returned with a young goat, expecting to see his wife. Instead, her father stopped him at the door. "I thought you hated her," he explained. "She has been given to your companion." Rejection became fuel for revenge. Samson captured 300 foxes, tied them in pairs, fastened torches between their tails, and released them into the Philistine grain fields. Fire spread across the harvest. The vineyards burned, the olive groves burned. What began as wounded pride had become destruction that reached far beyond Samson himself. Anger rarely burns only the person who started it. It almost always spreads. The burning fields did not end the conflict, they only began a new cycle. When the Philistines learned who was responsible, they demanded an answer.
"Who is responsible for this destruction?"
"We do not know, my lord, everything."
"Do you expect us to believe that no one saw anything? Find the perpetrators, or the entire city will pay the price."
They blamed Samson's wife and her father. In anger, they burned them to death. Violence answered violence.
"I have come from the camp, my lord. Your wife and her father are gone."
Samson was devastated. He declared, "Since you've acted this way, I won't stop until I've taken my revenge." He attacked the Philistines with great force. Fear spread throughout the land. Soon, the Philistine army marched into Judah. But instead of standing beside Samson,
I have done to them. We have come down to bind you, to hand you over to them.
3,000 men of Judah came to arrest him. Samson allowed them to bind him. Sometimes the greatest pain doesn't come from enemies. It comes when your own people no longer stand with you. Revenge promises justice, but it often leaves everyone wounded. Samson was handed over to the Philistines, bound, surrounded, alone.
"We have him!"
The Philistines shouted in triumph as they rushed toward him. But in that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. The ropes on his arms became like burned flax. They fell away. Nearby, Samson found the fresh jawbone of a donkey. With it, he struck down 1,000 Philistine warriors. The victory belonged to God.
An intimidating force, suddenly paralyzed by a divine panic. Scripture records a miraculous reversal, where thousands fled before a single man.
But even the strongest man has limits. Exhausted and overcome with thirst, Samson cried out, "Lord, you have given this great victory through your servant. Must I now die of thirst?" God answered. Water burst forth from the hollow place at Lehi. Samson drank. His strength returned. Real strength is not simply the power to fight. It is knowing where your strength truly comes from.
After years of struggle, peace finally returns. A land where families can flourish and children can play without fear.
After the battle at Lehi, Samson became Israel's judge. For 20 years, the Philistines feared his strength. Israel finally knew peace, but peace can quietly become comfort. The victories continued. The enemies stayed away. The danger that once drove Samson to seek God slowly faded into the background. Nothing dramatic happened. No great battle, no sudden fall. Just ordinary days filled with success. Sometimes that's when the heart changes the most. Confidence slowly became self-confidence. The man who once cried out to God after victory now began trusting the victories themselves. The strongest prisons are rarely built with chains. Many are built with comfort, routine, and the quiet belief that tomorrow will always look like today. Samson was still chosen, still powerful, still respected, but unseen cracks had already begun forming beneath the surface. The greatest battles are not always fought against enemies. Sometimes they begin inside a heart that no longer realizes it needs God. For 20 years, Samson judged Israel, but one decision would begin a path no victory could prevent. It started with a journey to Gaza. Gaza was one of the Philistines' strongest cities. Samson entered not as a conqueror, but as a man following his own desires. The people of Gaza soon learned he was there. They quietly surrounded the city gate, believing the morning would finally bring the end of Israel's strongest judge. But Samson rose at midnight. Before his enemies could act, he walked to the city gate. With astonishing strength, he tore the gates from their foundations and carried them away. The Philistines witnessed power they could not explain, yet outward strength could no longer hide the dangerous choices growing within Samson's heart. The greatest danger was no longer outside the walls of Gaza. It was already inside Samson himself.